Oh, I hope so. I think it clearly could. I no doubt lots of people were watching with interest how the Queensland Premier was going to treat today. And look, the fact it's open is fantastic, and people get on their way. It's very sensible by the government having had the lockdown, but then to I guess reopen the doors at midday today Queensland time rather than at midnight this evening. One would sense if it had gone through to tomorrow morning, it would have been highly disruptive. So look, obviously a lot of people have had their travel plans disrupted. Public health's obviously preeminent, but again, it comes back to this same old broken record of an issue that hard border closures, partial border closures, whatever type of hardness applied to border restrictions has a real impact and a domino effect on the visitor economy. And let's hope the damage hasn't been too great on this occasion.
As we all know, JobKeeper wrapped up earlier this week. Is it too soon to see the real impact of that for your sector? I mean, anecdotally, are you hearing that many people in the sector have lost their jobs as a result?
Oh, not really. The impact was occurring a few weeks ago when the writing was on the wall for the program. And look, it's been very good piece of public policy, expensive public policy, but nonetheless, it's been a critical one to get a lot of Australian businesses and obviously their workforce through. At its height, 3.3 million Australians were on JobKeeper at its close off there last weekend. There was a little over 1 million Australians were still covered by the program. What we're finding through our membership, we're pretty ingrained in with the views of our members. They're tourism SMEs, small family businesses are the bread and butter of the tourism industry. Is that over 1 in 3 have shed workforce. Around 1 in 2 have a much smaller operation from where they were at the beginning of the pandemic, and forward bookings, business activity outlooks are down in excess of 25%. So the journey ahead's not a really pretty one, and which is why we get so critical and anxious every time we see border restrictions for a small number of COVID-19 cases. It begs the question that governments need to work hand in glove with both industry and together to try to keep our economy and our tourism industry and the broader visitor economy more open than not, because the impacts are pretty clear for all to see.
The federal government is providing assistance on a number of fronts. It's announced this half-price flights proposal. Is that a good enough start? I mean, what sort of impact will that policy have?
Well, it's a good first step. Look, demand driving is going to be part of the road back. And why it's important is that the domestic tourism industry is the backbone of our broader tourism and visitor economy. So just in terms of some quick numbers, we were pre the virus a $150 billion plus sector. 1 in 12 working Australians worked in the broader tourism and industry and that broader visitor economy. The numbers now are really galling. The industry lost $90 billion in value in 2020. $90 billion. And that's an incredible loss of economic value. There's now in excess of 1 in 22 Australians working in the visitor economy. And the latest ABS job data show that from their assessment, there's something upwards of 150,000 Australians have lost their roles through this industry in the past year, and I would argue it's even more than that. So we've been hit really, really hard. The international borders remains hard closed. There's some optimism around possibly the New Zealand bubble. I'm not holding out too much optimism now after what's occurred in recent days. We've got a long way to go. We've got to get Australians confident to move to and through the country. We've got to be confident we can get events operating. The Byron Bay Blues Festival not happening. This Easter long weekend is a tragedy, and we've got to do this a bit better moving forward. There's a lot riding on how we manage our way through this next period, particularly with the sluggishness of the vaccine rollout.
Just finally, Simon, we ran a story in the last segment about this mystery South Australian tourism campaign that apparently is not sanctioned by authorities. It's not an official campaign. Do you have any insights as to what this is all about? It's pretty cheeky. We'll bring it up again for our viewers. Where did this campaign come from? Do you know, Simon?
I don't really know. Look, it is cheeky. Perhaps the brains trust behind it realise that South Australia is a wonderful place to visit, but there's always been some mental blockers in wanting to go there. I guess that's one way of eradicating the mental blocker. Destinations are going to compete against each other to attract the visitor dollar. I'm personally not offended by it, but maybe that says something about me. I think the issue is that we've just got to, as an industry, we're struggling. We're trying to find ways and means to get people thinking about getting across a border, travelling interstate. We don't get interstate travel going again, and don't get it going again soon, we've got a big problem on our hands. I mean, employment in tourism and accommodation and more broadly through hospitality, it's the fastest falling part of the Australian economy in terms of its overall workforce. And there's no hiding from this. These are federal government figures. So we're really looking towards the budget, and we're going to be really laser-like now in terms of how we can work through proper incentives for business, and let's try to get people through to the other side of this, and hopefully this vaccine rollout can provide a bit more confidence for people to get out and about.